the fact that all of this is happening because a misunderstanding, like, I just feel like that's not okay. And if this is the community that I'm in and the community that I put myself in, I don't know if I want to do that anymore.
Charli and Dixie Damelio received backlash for a YouTube video, and we're breaking down the drama that has since unfolded with Trisha Paytas. Hey guys, welcome back to another shared news from home. We have to talk about all the drama that has unfolded from this Damelio family dinner video. But before we get into it, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any future updates. As always, I'm your host, Fiona Zaring, and I'm joined by the wonderful Avery Grooms.
Hi, Fiona.
Hello. So Avery, there is a lot to unpack in all of this. I say, let's just start at the beginning in case people are not up to date. Basically, the Damelio sisters have been receiving backlash for a YouTube video that featured a family dinner with their guest James Charles and a meal from a private chef. In the video, Dixie throws up after finding a snail in her meal, and Charli then asks if they have Dino Nuggets, and this moment in particular is not sitting well with some people. Let's take a look at the clip.
Yummy.
See?
It sometimes happens when... Oh God.
So dramatic.
Don't be so dramatic.
Classic Dixie. Do we have any Dino Nuggets?
Ew.
At another point in the video, Charli reflects on how the 1-year anniversary of her social media stardom is approaching, and she wishes she could reach 100 million followers by then. She gets a little tease moment from James, and this moment in particular is also caused some people to question what she said. Let's check this one out as well.
I wish I had like more time. Cause imagine if I hit 100 mil a year after hitting a mil.
Was the 95 not enough for you?
Well, I was just like saying like even number.
Well, okay, so Avery, I want to know your just sort of initial thoughts, reaction to the video, to these moments in particular. Did they stand out to you? Did they upset you in any way? How did you feel about this?
When I saw this, I thought this was just two teenage girls having dinner with their family, and I think both of the reactions were normal reactions, not something that needs to turn into this huge cancel culture event. These girls already are looked under a microscope. They've been put on a pedestal by the internet, so people are always watching them left and right. And I feel like Charli especially always handles any type of controversy so well. She's only 15, so she has so much on her plate, and she always is just so kind. And she's just like an innocent teenage girl. She means well. So for people to take these small clips and just say she's ignorant and ungrateful because she was talking about hitting 1 million followers within 1 year. I mean, if I was in her position at dinner with my family, I don't know what it's like to have 95 million followers, but as a 15-year-old girl, I could see myself saying the same thing in her position. I just think it's kind of ridiculous that this family always receives so much hate over such minor things that we all do and say.
I totally agree with you. I think, listen, they're so young. There are things that I said when I was that age that, like, my form of humor, my type of sarcasm, my opinion on food, like, all of that evolves so much. And I think that, you know, out of context, regardless of how these clips could be construed, there's just so much unnecessary hate going on here, which we will get into a little bit more later. Let's talk about sort of what the sisters' steps were to address and, you know, apologize for what they're describing as a bit of a misunderstanding. So Charli went live on Instagram, as she does. You mentioned this, Avery. Like, if there's ever any sort of controversy, she is so young and she hops on live. She typically addresses it. She will apologize if necessary. She handles herself very, very well. She first talked about her and Dixie's reaction to the food.
We're gonna eat that, what? And it was obviously taken the wrong way, and we should have done better on our part with the editing to make you guys know that it was a joke, and that's on me. Take full responsibility for that.
She also clarified her remarks about her follower count, saying,
When I had said about the followers thing, I genuinely just thought it would be so cool to hit a huge milestone a year after hitting another milestone. I never meant for you guys to make it seem like you were numbers or did not mean anything.
which I think is a totally simple explanation. It is cool to hit a huge milestone exactly a year after hitting another milestone. Dixie, of course, she was the one who had the throw up moment, which I think sort of is what led to the bulk of the backlash. And she made an entire TikTok video to share her side of the story. Let's take a look at that.
So basically my team knows I throw up a lot. I can throw up at the smell, the thought, or the taste of anything. So when they saw the snails, they were like, oh, let's get her and try to see if we can get a reaction out of her.
So Avery, what are your thoughts on, what Charli had to say, the video Dixie made? Do you see their side? Does it make sense, in your eyes? Does it feel like it was a bit of a misunderstanding?
Yes, it makes complete sense in my eyes. Charli addressed it once again greatly, was straight to the point, explained herself completely. And Dixie made that TikTok. She didn't really dwell on the situation. She just basically cleared it up and let viewers know her perspective. She mentioned how the chefs knew that she vomits sometimes or just is sensitive to certain foods or smells. So they wanted to play a prank on her, and she even included a clip that wasn't in the full video of them trying to get her to eat it. But it's just the whole situation I think is so ridiculous. Once again, these are just girls having dinner with their families. Let them be, even if there are cameras, it's very casual. There wasn't much to the video. But like I said, when so many eyes are on you, people are just going to look for anything to just cancel people nowadays. I mean, that's the internet for you.
Totally. And the chef has come forward and, he said it's been all in good fun. I think that, if vomit humor is your thing, they were maybe going for some sort of a joke there behind the scenes. I mean, I don't know how I would react if someone put a snail in front of me. I'm 24. I don't know if age comes into that. If you have a sensitive stomach, I think the fact that the chef was in on it, that her team clearly teed it up. It is unfortunate that they didn't get this big, hilarious moment. And probably when they were editing for time, they were slashing things out. It didn't play off as funny as they'd hoped. So some of it got the boot. That's just how these things work. I think the biggest takeaway is they are young. They're trusting their team. They're listening to their editors. They're depending on, their people, the parents in the room, to say, this wasn't funny. I don't think this is going to play well. In today's cancel culture, let's cut the whole thing out. Somebody didn't make that call for them, and here we all are. So how does Trisha Paytas even factor into all of this? I think it's so crazy that we're even getting to her name in this entire thing. So Trisha initially decided to basically duet somebody else's video on TikTok where they were reacting to the food moment, calling the sisters out, very upset. And then she went ahead and made her own video where she sort of broke down her thoughts. Let's take a look at what she had to say.
There's a chef making them food. They're being really disrespectful, just spitting out the food. And they're 19, they're young, but I do think since they are role models on such a big platform, they should be called out when they need to be humbled a little.
This video isn't actually the first time that Trisha has commented on Charli and Dixie and some of these younger TikTok stars. And Charli obviously caught wind of her video and decided to call her out in one of her lives.
I'm just gonna say it, Trisha Paytas, this is not, sorry, just you have been completely rude to me multiple times. And that's all I have to say on that. Quite honestly, I just, please stop talking about me. You're not a very nice person. Sorry.
In Charli's live, she also sort of got emotional at one point. She revealed she's been receiving death threats in regards to the situation, a lot of hate, and just sort of had a very human reaction to how many eyes are on them and the intense scrutiny that they are under. What are your thoughts in Trisha deciding to get involved in this in the first place, Avery?
Well, I mean, Trisha's someone who's been canceled a numerous amount of times. And lately on TikTok, she's kind of changed the tone of her videos where she'll take one video and give her commentary, basically like she did with this one. But here we have someone in their 30s coming for a 15-year-old, and Trisha, out of all people, should know what it feels like to be canceled. I think she just wanted to be involved, stir the pot. I think it was super immature, and I respect Charli for standing up for herself. She shouldn't have to do that with a grown woman. But if people are going to act like this on the internet, you have to defend yourself as well. And it just didn't surprise me that Trisha had to involve herself into something that was already very huge and known. She didn't have to come in and add more fuel to the fire. But I'm not shocked that she did. She always does this.
I mean, I think, yeah, you explained it very well. This is something, she's a loud personality. She's a loud voice. She basically shares her opinion on everything. She didn't let it go with one TikTok, you guys. There are many, many videos. She's responded to a lot of people's comments. She responded, of course, to Charli directly. And she basically took the lens of, she's not being rude. She's not being mean. She's, sharing constructive criticism. She doesn't want them to get canceled. So she's trying to help. But kind of like you said, Avery, the internet is the internet. When you say anything, you are just adding fuel to the fire. So if you really wanted to help, a private DM probably could have been an option here. She explained that she wasn't going to go off on Charli because she's a minor, and blamed her parents and James Charles for influencing Charli.
Once again, I have to remind you, this is the internet. This is social media. People are allowed to give opinions. And what I said wasn't even that bad. You have very entitled behavior, both you and your sister, and it's unbecoming.
So granted, she is right. The internet is the internet. If you put things out there, you're going to receive a response. That's how it works. James added his take on Twitter. Seeing as he's been called out, he was a part of the video. He obviously is friends with the Damelios, and he felt inclined to speak up. He wrote, "This Charli situation is not sitting right with me. 100 million followers in 1 year, and y'all expect her to know how to be a perfect role model. Death threats because she's a picky eater and made a joke about a milestone. 30-plus-year-olds dragging someone half their age feels familiar." Obviously, if you're a fan of James's, you know he has had his ups and downs in the spotlight as well. Lots of drama that he's had to sort of wield through and share his side, defend himself. So he's no stranger to this type of situation. Obviously, that 30-plus-year-old's sentence clearly is calling out Trisha pretty much indirectly. He later reacted to some of Trisha's comments in this situation, specifically about him. Calling out her predatory claims over his friendship with Charli. He said,
"I didn't want to respond to this because I didn't want to give Trisha the attention that she's clearly craving. However, I've now been accused of being a child groomer, and this is not an accusation that I'm going to take lightly. To insinuate that the relationship between Charli and I is anything other than just a friendship is absolutely disgusting."
So, Avery, what did you think about James's tweet? The sentiment of Charli being young, so much fame in such a short amount of time, and his response to Trisha. What did you think of his take?
I thought his tweet was really well said, and he's basically said everything we've been trying to say right now. He's also had to address being friends with someone who's 15 multiple times as well, and he's made it clear that he's basically a mentor to Charli because she's someone who had fame at such a young age. He can relate to that. He's also been canceled before, so he can relate to that. And I know him and Trisha have ongoing beef, but I'm also glad he spoke up because I think Trisha looks ridiculous saying all this. I mean, the tweets or the TikToks just keep coming about this situation, and she's the one who chose to involve herself and now James. So I'm glad they're not letting her get the last word, but if she does, she looks ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, at the time we're making this video, you guys, this drama is still kind of unfolding. There are more comments being made. There's more videos than we mentioned. As I said before, this thread has gotten pretty big. Overall, I feel like we're kind of in agreement. She didn't need to get involved. It really was unnecessary. As I said before, if it really was out of concern, then I truly always believe that when someone adds a hot take out of concern, there was a private way they could have handled it. There's a quieter way you could have handled it. So I think it was out of concern, maybe attention. What do you think Charli and Dixie should learn from this? I feel like their editing team needs to be more careful. They need to remember that the internet is a dangerous place. And, you've just got to be really careful. I mean, what would you tell Charli and Dixie if you were giving them advice?
I mean, Charli was crying on her live saying if this is a community she's in, she doesn't want to be a part of it anymore, if this is going to be the response. And I mean, they really didn't do anything wrong. I think they're going to watch themselves even more. It's really hard because it wasn't that big of a mistake, but they have to be careful because they'll come at them for anything. But I really do think their editing team should be a lot more careful. Maybe they should have thought more about this before the video was posted. Was this going to benefit them? How this was going to look for the sisters? It wasn't their best look, but the editing could have prevented that as well. So I think the whole team is going to need to do some reevaluating.
Totally. And I think this is, aside from that, this is kind of a lesson in when you're in the digital space as they are, like, there are going to be people who profit off of drama surrounding you. This is sort of something we've seen play out many times over in the YouTube community, now in the TikTok community. Like, they posted a video. There was a couple of quotes, a couple of moments in this video that, let's, call a spade a spade. It didn't sit well with a lot of their fans. Fans had questions. Fans got upset. Usually you have the luxury of addressing that, speaking to your fans and only your fans and explaining yourself, and whether they get over it or not, that's the situation. But another huge creator getting involved can open you up to a completely different fan base, opinions that you're not used to hearing. It can just be the Wild West. So, moral of the story, be careful, be mindful. And I think it's important to say hate is never okay, regardless of their behavior being horrible, death threats, all of that is something we, of course, never, ever stand for. Oh my goodness. What a crazy situation, you guys. We want to know your take. Were you interested in what Trisha had to say? Did it not bother you at all that she got involved? Do you think Charli and Dixie have something to learn from this? What is your hot take? Let us know down in the comments. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. As always, I'm your host, Fiona Zaring. You can follow me on socials at Fiona Zaring. Avery, where can they find you?
You can follow me at Avery Grooms.
Awesome. Thanks for watching, you guys, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.